show you scriptures if you want. I'd love to show them. Maybe we'll have the time. In no other nation will everyone that's in that land know the Lord from the least to the greatest. And that is given even then to test the hearts of Gentiles where that ancient sin of envy. Now, my brother Mark is going to talk about this line of betrayal. He talks about a line of, how's that? It's a great chart.
There's a line of election through history, and there's a line of betrayal.
Because through election, God provokes something in the humanistic heart that it draws up and surfaces a contempt and a resentment. You know, it's okay when God doesn't give anybody, I mean, when Jacob doesn't give everybody a new coat, but when he gives it to one son, it starts a problem in the family. And that's what God is doing, because God is going to make sure that it's okay with us, that he gives what he will to whom he will, and under the conditions that he chooses. And that's why there is at one and the same time a universal heart of God, of love for all men, but he's very particularistic as to how that is mediated, very jealous. So there's a lot at stake here. I would commend everybody on this question before you spend too much time on the internet. Try out the book by David Barron called The Lost 10 Tribes. It gives something of my personal I'm satisfied with his perspective. I'm troubled by a lot of what I'm hearing in these things where we're looking for, as though people's identity is to trace some mystical bloodline back to whatever. But where does that put the average Joe, you know? God he is keeping the Jew, and he's doing a demonstration through them. But it has to be visible. It's not some mystical hidden away thing. It's for the very purpose of God. It has to be in the open. God is a God of incarnation. He's a God of embodiment. And that's why he's not a Greek. You know, he's the God, the Hebraic God of embodiment. And, you know, God has preserved a certain people, and they've been they've been the objects of his wrath and judgment. And it should be the objects of the church's pathos and pity and identification, and not dismissing them as some Edomitish offspring. Now, that's tremendously strikes the heart of God in my view. But that's a long story. I won't get into all of that. But I would say one thing though: follow the trail of suffering. There you will find the Son, because it's the Son that's visible.
I was going to say too, as far as Daniel being having parallels within Revelation, and then Revelation somewhat being this encouragement to those being persecuted in Rome, and then also for us maybe today of sort of that. I mean, could we say that that's true? That with all the parallels between Daniel and Revelation, the book of Revelation, and just how that is encouragement for those in exile and those in suffering. I don't know. It was a thought that came to mind.
Yeah, you know, the whole history of the martyrs. And,
right.
Again, follow the trail of blood. That's where you'll see the true remnant church. Mm-hmm. And they've endured that Babylonish spirit. The mystery of iniquity has been around a long time. We're just saying it's coming to a head.
Yeah.
There's been plenty of antichrists. We're just saying there's coming a full perfection of the incarnation of that mystery. Mm-hmm. And before the age can end, as Paul said, that's got to be revealed. So that's why Steve's question is so apt, because this is all about our common experience of exile. It's through exile, through covenant, the issue of covenant, that we can reason with the Jew about the gospel. So to know the covenant is a basic way. It wasn't for incidental. It was significant that the law was given by Moses before grace and truth. That John the Baptist comes and prepares the way. There's always the knockdown job, the pull down, pluck up, you know, before there's the build of the plant. The gospel comes after the law has shut us up and crowded us to the need of a divine breaking in. The word that we're shut up by the law until the faith which should be revealed. That's that word apocalypsis. So the law creates the crisis. The covenant created the crisis that let the prophets have the intuitive insight. Oh, there must be a day of the Lord. It's going to take a day of God of breaking in to so radically change a people. A mere remnant. See, a remnant never will attain. You've got to see when Paul says, so then all Israel shall be saved, he's basically talking about a time on this earth when there'll be no Jewish unsaved person on this planet. There'll be no more remnant. He's not just talking about throwing a few extra Jews at the end of the age. It's not the issue of the covenant. When you see the issue of the covenant, and the only way you're going to see it is to see the land. And then you know that God's jealousy is for that land, because it's not about a land, it's not real estate. It's about His name, His word. And in order to have a people that can abide there in this hostile world full of beast kingdoms and lie down in safety, how do you do that? Well, you do it with the day of the Lord. But it's not just about a new heart. It's not even about taming the wild animal nations. It's about, how does that new heart come? Through the surety. Then you get into the issue of the real heart of the mystery, which is the gospel. And that's one thing I hope we have time. You know, we need to have an appreciation. There's an old song that we sing called I'm Coming to This Issue About Mystery, because in order to show the Jew the mystery, I mean, I believe that even if you could just go in and say to the average Jewish person, here's the gospel, isn't that good news? And some of them receive it, call on the Lord, that's great. But I still believe God is jealous about a certain approach, a certain way. And I think maybe I better wait till we talk about the apocalyptic approach to evangelism. I mean, the apostolic approach, because it was apocalyptic. But the way that we come to the Jew and show him that his covenant literally adds up to Christ. To do that glorifies God. To make sense of everything he's experienced and to give meaning to that tragedy and that meaninglessness. That is, you know, there's nothing more terrific about suffering than to suffer without meaning. But if you can invest suffering with meaning, you can redeem even suffering. And that's why the church has the key of interpretation for a suffering exilic people. They're able to say, here's why and here's the way out, you know. Okay, but the issue of mystery. So I was going to say, there's an old song we used to sing. Many of you know it. The older group would know it. Must Jesus bear the cross alone and all the world go free? Remember that old song? No, there's a cross for everyone, and there's a cross for me. I would like to say, will Israel bear the tribulation alone? Is Jacob's trouble just Jacob's problem? And will the church go free? But what's even more, you know, because the church has suffered, Israel has suffered, but here's what the church doesn't know. That it will be confronted with a mystery that will be as formidable and as miraculous to escape. Let me just review with you just a moment. Israel had a stone of stumbling in their midst. Christ came incognito in a way that no one was prepared for, in a way that no one expected. It was in every way a fulfillment of what the prophets had foretold, but it was a prophetic mystery concealed until the appointed time. And Jesus participated in that concealment. Here's my righteous servant. He's going to justify many by his knowledge, but throughout his whole ministry, he said, tell no man, hush, hush. And he was very, very strategic about when and how and under what conditions he even identified himself. So you know this. We call it the Messianic secret. But the thing of it is, it puzzled John the Baptist. John the Baptist, the none greater than born of women. Are you the one to come, or look we for another? I don't think he was doubting the Lamb of God, but there was a popular view in those days of two messiahs, and so there was quite a dilemma. And then Jesus said, blessed is he that's not offended. There's a key word. Peter required a special divine revelation to even know his identity. And even that did not keep Peter from being offended when you added the cross. It says, none of the princes of this world knew this mystery. I believe that meant not only Herod and Pilate, but the demon principalities. The cross was a hidden wisdom set for this time. The cross belonged to this mystery and this sealed vision. I can show you this later in Isaiah and Daniel. I mean, Daniel, this language about a sealed vision, Daniel got it right from Isaiah. And Isaiah lived, what, 150 years or so before. All this is to say that Israel was pressed hard with a formidable mystery. Here's this precious man. We see his holiness and all that. But there was so much that wasn't adding up. And here were these custodians or stewards of the oracles of God. And they had to be the police and so forth. And all of Israel was stumbled. And so my question is, must Israel bear the mystery alone and all the church or all the world go free? God is going to, how incongruous is it to conceive that Israel would be so deeply sifted, a stone of stumbling that would expose hearts. This child is for the fall and rising of many, you know, that many hearts may be revealed. How can you conceive that the age would end with any less of mystery, with any less of deep testing? But it will come in a way that men do not look for. It'll come in a disallowed way. Now, I'll just give you a little foretaste, but I believe that way is over this crisis that's going to engage all nations over the issue of Jerusalem and the land. And this foolish little thing in our midst called the Jew. And the way that we see that and the way that we interpret that is a reflection, an index of our own, how we see God, how we see our own standing in grace. There's something deep about that. That is the mysterious connection between the Jerusalem issue, which sounds like just a city, you know, or a piece of real estate, and the issue of the gospel. Because I could tell you, though, we need to see by revelation why the age ends over land and city and this people of ancient suffering. Why it ends there instead of just over the issue of the gospel. Because that is the issue of the gospel. In fact, that finds out what kind of gospel you really have. Whether it's a humanistic construct that you got spoon-fed in Sunday school, or whether it's a divine revelation.
Right.
Because the elect would be deceived if it were possible. To escape this will be the grace of God, not because you're clever, or you got your pieces, or you read the Bible better than somebody else. It's a mystery. God is a God that hides himself. Sorry I'm so passionate about this, but it's so hidden that what I'm saying to the church is, do you think Israel's going to endure all that and be delivered over to the sword and surrendered to what's turned out to be nearly 2,000 years of exile? And we're getting out of this scot-free, being spoon-fed by our creeds? No, this issue of Israel will be a litmus test that will shake everything to the foundations and discover which Jesus you even have. Because if you don't have the Jesus that can submit and acknowledge the God who chooses, then you've got a humanistic Jesus that's just a therapy. You know, so
will God open their eyes somehow when the temple is built? Is that what this is all about?
no, the temple. That's another thing. A good question. No, the temple is it's glorious in the sense that the temple in itself is a place where